this is Erin Hobson with Red Hook Guitar, and today I'm going to talk about a really big topic called the modes. Maybe you've heard of them. If not, then this lesson is for you. Basically, you can base these modes off of a major scale, off of a harmonic minor scale, or a melodic minor scale. I'm going to start with the major scale because most people know the major scale, and the modes that are derived from the major scale are more usable in pop and rock and blues and styles of music that most people play, not so much the jazz or the fusion or other styles of music. So if you don't know what a major scale is by now, you can review my lesson 3 where I went over the major scale. So first I'm going to start by telling you that there are 7 modes to learn, and they are as follows: Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and Locrian. So if that sounds like Greek to you, it's because it is. The names of these modes originated in ancient Greece. The modes themselves originated in ancient Greece, and that's where they got their names. So the modes can best be explained as this. So if you know a major scale, we're going to keep this easy. Like I said, we're going to be in the key of C because C has no sharps, no flats, as we talked about. It's just C to C through the alphabet: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So if I start on C and I end on C, play a nice C major chord there, I have a major scale. The major scale is also known as the Ionian Mode. So if you know the major scale, you already know one mode, you know the Ionian Mode. They are the same thing. Okay? So now you can be fancy and impress your friends and, when you play the major scale, and call it the Ionian Mode instead. So anyway, C to C, major scale, Ionian Mode. It's also known as the C Ionian Mode. So I think I went over a lot of examples in my my other lesson when I covered the major scale, about examples of songs with the major scale. But there's so many of them. One I can think of is Falling Slowly by Glenn Hansard. So you have that nice C major scale tonality put in with the chords. Send Me On My Way, Rusted Root. There's a little in the chorus of Wild World by Cat Stevens. He just goes down the C major scale. Ooh, baby, baby, it's a wild world. It's hard to get by just upon a smile. So you'll see the major scale or the Ionian Mode in a lot of examples in music. So that's number 1. Moving on to the second note of the scale, which is D. So if I play from D to D, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, I have a minor tonality, because now I have a minor third, and but I also have a major sixth. So it's different from the natural minor scale, which has a minor third and a minor sixth and a minor seventh. So the Dorian Mode has a minor third and a major sixth and a minor seventh. So it's a little more of a unique sound than the natural minor mode. Natural minor scale, I should say. So if I start on D and end on D and play this nice D minor chord, you can hear now I have a completely different sound, right? So I'm playing the same notes from the C major scale, but I'm starting on D and ending on D, and I'm also playing a D minor chord underneath it. So now I have what's called the Dorian Mode. Santana is a guitar player that uses the Dorian Mode often. Oye, como va? Right. That's all Dorian. So it's a good one to learn for the Dorian Mode. Also, Evil Ways, that's in G minor. So these are 2/5 chord progressions, what they're called. If you don't know what that means, you can go back to my my little theory lesson on chord progressions and how they're numbered and why this would be a 2/5 in the key of F. So anyway, Santana, he's a good one to listen to for the Dorian mode, particularly those two songs. So the next one, next note we're going to start on is E. So if I play E to E, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, back to E, then I have this really cool Spanish minor sound, otherwise known as Phrygian. So if I play an E minor, so it's hard to find pop songs that have strictly Phrygian. One that comes to mind is White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane, or were they Jefferson Starship at that point? They went through a lot of names. I used to listen to them in the 80s when they were just Starship, you know. Anyway, it has an F sharp minor to a G. And that Phrygian works really well over that. You get that Spanish minor sound. Alright, so moving along. Now if we start on F and end on F, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, we have what's called a Lydian mode. So Lydian is a major scale with a what's called an augmented fourth or a diminished fifth. So you're basically playing a major scale, but you're just altering the fifth by flatting it. So here's my F. And if I pair that with what's called an F major 7 sharp 11, which has this really dissonant kind of sound, then I have this. So you won't see a lot of F major 7 sharp 11 in pop and rock and blues music, but you will see a lot of it in jazz. And here's an example of a Miles Davis song called Blue and Green, and you'll see over here comes up to a B flat major 7 sharp 11. So when if you came to that chord and you were soloing over that chord or writing a melody over that chord, you'd take note of the Lydian mode there. So you'd play a major scale starting on B flat and just flat the fifth, sharp the 4, flat the fifth, and you'd have that nice, I wouldn't call it really all that nice, it's kind of dissonant, Lydian sound. So anyway, you'll find that a lot in jazz and fusion, but probably not so much in pop and rock music. So moving along, I have the fifth note of the scale, which is G. So if I start on G and end on G, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, back to G, I have what's called the Mixolydian mode. So Mixolydian has a major third and a major sixth, but it has a minor seventh. So what chord is a major chord with a minor seventh? Well, dominant 7 chords. So G7 would be the chord. So this is a good mode for the blues. It's good for jazz blues. So here's like a G7, right? So you can kind of mix it up with, you know, pentatonic scale, major or minor pentatonic. But here's another example. Here's a jazz blues called All Blues by Miles Davis. It's typically one of the first songs that introduce people to jazz because it is a blues as well, so it's easy to kind of cross over if you already know blues and just kind of make this a little more jazzy. And the way you do that is make it a little bit more modal. So if I have this G7 vamp, I get this nice modal. You know, so that's all G Mixolydian. C major scale starting on G and ending on G. Alright, so now here's my sixth note in the scale A. So if I play from A to A, B, C, D, E, F, G, back to A, I have the natural minor scale actually, which you may already know. If you don't, I also explain that one in my lesson 3 when I talk about the major scale and the natural minor scale. So this is also the natural minor scale, just as the major scale is also known as the Ionian mode. The natural minor scale is also known as the Aeolian mode. So if I play from A to A, I have this nice minor tonality. So in this, I have a minor third, a minor sixth, and a minor seventh. Okay. So examples. Well, the riff in Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne, right? Randy Rhoads played it. That's an F sharp Aeolian, F sharp natural minor. Other ones like Stairway to Heaven, the solo, just goes A minor, G, F, G, starts pentatonic. And where's that F come from? Well, that comes from the Aeolian mode or the natural minor scale. All Along the Watchtower is another example. So that's a good one for pop and rock. That's one that you might use if you don't play jazz. So last is a pretty unusual sounding mode. If you play from B to B, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. That is a half diminished mode. So what you have is a minor second, a minor third, a diminished fifth, a minor sixth, and a minor seventh. So you have this really, it's not quite a diminished, it's called a half diminished. You might see it written as a minor 7 flat 5. And this is the chord. This is a minor 7 flat 5 chord. If you don't know it, you can look it up if you even want to play it. You're probably not going to use that one as much either. It's more of jazz and fusion kind of sound. But here's another example of a jazz standard called Blue Bossa, which is another one that most beginner jazz students learn. And you'll see this progression here, starting with a D minor 7 flat 5. Sometimes you might see it with a circle with a slash through it, indicating half diminished. So that D minor 7 flat 5, there's your Locrian mode right there. So root, flatted 2, minor second, minor third, fourth, diminished fifth, minor 6, minor 7, octave. It's a very odd sounding mode. So again, some of these, it depends on the type of music that you listen to, that you like, that you want to practice, that you play. You know, the most common, of course, are the Ionian and the Aeolian because they're based on the major scale and the natural minor scale. They are the same thing. More exotic modes would be the Lydian mode and the Locrian mode, but you might use the Mixolydian mode if you played like kind of more jazzy blues. You wanted to get a little modal in blues. The Phrygian mode is interesting because it's kind of got a Spanish kind of sound. And the Dorian mode, I mean, Santana used it a lot in like Latin rock, so that one comes up every now and then. So I'm going to put some song titles and examples in the descriptions. I'm going to write out the theory behind each of these modes, and hopefully this was a helpful overview. Like I said, you can start these anywhere, and you should practice them everywhere. Just because we did them in C doesn't mean you can't play all these in D and E and anywhere, you know, in any key. And you should practice them in every key. Just using C as an example because it's a very easy key to start with. So again, you can base these off of other scales. I just chose the major scale to begin with because it's easy. And hopefully that's helpful. All right.